So, at the time of this recording, it's been about 2 weeks since I made my last video, and I've kind of been distant, from YouTube, from social media. I don't have social media as we speak. Actually, I don't have Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok. Maybe that'll change in the future, near future. But for now, I think I'm gonna cleanse. But something I've thought about a lot lately. In fact, someone asked me this. They asked me if you had all the money in the world, if you had all the money you ever desired, and the following that you desire, and anything that may pertain to your ego, if you had all of these worldly things, what kind of message would you leave behind, and what would you produce for the world? And I thought about this question for quite some time. I spent the whole day, the rest of the day, thinking about it. And I thought about what kind of tone I want to leave behind, what kind of personality I want to leave for the world. And I'm sure you've thought of this too. I'm sure you tend to think, what am I leaving behind when my time comes? Because I know, as cold and, this dark this topic may be, the idea of leaving Earth, and it's grim, sure, but it's something worth thinking about, right? I mean, we can't avoid questions like these for a long time, which is why I thought about it the whole day. And when you think about a question like that, you think about the things you have done, the things you're doing, and then the things you want to do. So in regards to the things that I have done, I've been on YouTube for this entire year inconsistently. I've inconsistently posted. If you've stuck around, you've noticed that. Sometimes I'll go a month without uploading. Sometimes I'll upload 2 or 3 times a week. Actually, I don't think I've ever uploaded 3 times a week. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I've made about 30, almost 40 videos on this channel. And with the following that I've built up so far, I've questioned the merit of my videos and whether or not they're deserving of being watched, they're deserving of being recognized, and what kind of message they spread. So those are the things that I have done, the things that I'm currently doing. I'm still inconsistent, but I think it's going to take a turn of events, and I know I've promised a consistency in videos in the past, and I know I've assured that, but I want to spread a message. I want to spread a message, and we'll just call it positivity, I guess we could get into specifics, and if we're getting into specifics, it would be specifically a contribution to humanity. Because there's several niches, right? Whether it be self-improvement, whether it be life advice, whether it be universal experiences, whether it be politics, all the above. There's all these different niches that I could honestly choose and be fine in, or fitness, or whatever, business. And regardless of whether I'm a novice in any of these niches, I could choose a niche. But what I can't do is sit here and pretend that I know everything, because I feel like that's something that every starting content creator does, where they convince themselves that they know how the algorithm works, that they know what kind of videos will blow up and this and that, but proceed to procrastinate. And it's just, getting ahead of themselves. So to tie back to the question, what I want to leave behind, it's definitely not this sense of arrogance or a play of the ego. And with the videos I leave behind, excuse my MacBook, with the videos I leave behind, I don't want to leave behind, this chase for legacy, right? I think the idea of wanting to leave behind a legacy is stupid. The book about Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, he talks about chasing the legacy and chasing something to leave behind. It's a manifestation of the ego. And because of that, I had to refocus what exactly I do want. And what I want is not to leave behind a legacy, but to leave behind a message. And you may be asking yourself, well, isn't that the same thing? Don't those two kind of overlap? Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that typically legacies do have a meaning at the very end, whether it be a famous sports player's legacy and their message to being working hard and whatnot, or a singer's legacy and just believing in yourself when no one else did. I mean, these are all universal messages, right? But at the end of the day, what I will say is it's more no, simply because these universal messages, as much as legacies do prove them, are still universal and exclusive and independent of anything else. You know, the idea of discipline, the idea of serving humanity and whatnot. Sure, you can attribute these to certain figures and certain legacies, but at the same time, you're beyond being boxed by someone's legacy and someone's personal endeavors and whatnot. So I guess to answer the question of what I do want to leave behind, it's not only looking through the lens of what I have done, it's looking through the lens of what I am doing, correcting that, and then adjusting to what I'm going to be doing in the future. So with that being said, I think on the future and from this point forward, I'm going to be talking about things that I normally don't talk about, because it may be reasons such as I don't think it'll get views, it may be too controversial, or no one would back these ideas and whatnot. But I think there's a place for everybody on the internet, and there's a place where I don't want to say all ideas are welcome, but there's just this free marketplace of ideas, right? I know I touched on this in a couple videos in the past, but the ability to share and the ability to express yourself without fearing its pushbacks and its criticisms, I think it's definitely not a superpower, but a characteristic that people do have are quite powerful. And I feel as though people should find the courage to speak up more about these things. So that's what I want to do. It comes from the heart. It comes from the heart. Trying to do these things, this being the thing that I want to leave behind, talking about things that I feel as though are not touched on enough. At least my catering to this generation, Gen Z, whatever it may be. And then also appealing to the older generations, right? Whether it be through wisdom seeking, not necessarily approval seeking, but wisdom seeking, and wanting that backbone and wanting to fill in their shoes and make an even better world than they could. I mean, because their contribution was for us for the next generation, so forth. So to end that little rant, I think it's really about leaving behind something meaningful to society rather than chasing your ego or chasing a legacy or anything worldly, right? So with that being said, like I said earlier, I'm not going to be focusing on the views or whatnot. I'm actually going to begin talking about things I'm passionate about. And I have in the past with these past videos, and I'm sure you guys could tell, but you're going to be seeing more of that. That doesn't mean less effort, but it's definitely going to be more consistency and a deeper passion. Thank you for watching.